You know, never has it been easier for the average person to get their own TV program or video on the air. We're in the middle of a media revolution, and my guests today are taking part in that revolution. They work for Al Gore's new cable TV network, Current TV. Johnny Bell, host, is here, and Gotham Chopra, host and producer. They're going to tell you how you can get your program on the air. Great to have you guys here today.
It's good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you're welcome. You know, I feel like we're in the middle of a second internet revolution because, you know, you had the whole .com thing, and we know where that went. But now, really, it's all coming back, and I think you're really in the middle of a media revolution, as I say, where you have TV and the internet merging. And it's great. I mean, now you've got podcasting and Google Video, and you can see the show, and, you know, we are podcasting, we're on Google Video and all those places. But there are so many opportunities now for the average person to get their stuff out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where does your project, Current TV, how does it fit in there, and what can you do for the viewer?
Well, I mean, Current's sort of been in development for several years, and it's, you know, one of the co-founders is former Vice President Al Gore. And Al's sort of been at the forefront, but really provide an opportunity for people like Johnny and I, and of course, the average viewer, like you said in your opening, to get their programming on the air. You know, television's always been this great, you know, pyramid, and unless you were inside the pyramid, you really didn't have an opportunity to produce it. But Current, and even shows like yours, but like you said, the technology has really been at the forefront of liberating creative people. So it's the same way where I think, you know, many years ago, it's like you don't have to work for Random House to write a book. And now you don't have to work for ABC or NBC to get programming on the air, and Current's really sort of gripped that opportunity. So. Well,
and I really feel that, you know, if the networks aren't careful, they may just see the rugs pulled out from underneath them, because anymore, you know, you don't have to go to ABC, NBC, or CBS to get something distributed, you know, even worldwide now on the internet. Because now you guys are on cable and the internet. Do you broadcast both places, right? Or is it?
Yes,
okay.
It's cable with DirecTV, channel 366.
Yeah.
So you can actually, you know, again, you're not limited to just even, you have worldwide distribution in effect then.
Yeah, I mean, well, Current is a national broadcast that's, that can be, it's in about 20 million homes right now, like Johnny said, mostly DirecTV and various other cable operators. And then, of course, through the website, and, you know, there's podcasting, so, you know, people can access that at any time. So.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So how is this going so far? Is it catching on? Are people uploading a lot of stuff to you, and how's that coming along?
Yeah, it's getting, from the very beginning to now, like, just the progress of the content is just amazing from what, you know, from what the very first day we started to now. It's
I mean, it's been electric, because I think it's really, I mean, it started August 1st was the launch, you know, that's when we went live, and so now it's been, you know, 2 months, and it's really been, I think, exciting for the average viewer to know that, you know, there is this opportunity out there. And while there is an editorial staff in place, it's really about facilitating the programming getting on air. It's not about having an editorial agenda.
No.
Yeah, it's not about like, or you send us your tape and then we'll kind of mix it up and see what goes on air. There's not like a huge layer of
You don't
editorial.
have the agent call the agent or something.
No.
And actually, if I were the Hollywood agents, I'd be a little bit worried too.
Absolutely.
Because I don't see a whole business model for agents in some of this stuff. It's very direct, you know, between...
Well, and I can tell you, as somebody who's worked in the entertainment and media industry, it's exciting, because you have a point of view, you have an opportunity to express it, and it's not about, you know, an agenda, a corporate agenda. It's not about like huge multimedia conglomerates that are kind of trying to push their website along with their publishing arm through their film division and all of that stuff. And
yeah, because on the one hand, I mean, you've seen these big multinational companies just get bigger and bigger, who control almost every aspect of mainstream TV and film, you know, production and distribution. So it's great then, again, that technology is opening up another avenue for the independent producers to come along. And but one thing I want to ask you about, because I mean, I completely, you know, I think it's great, and again, it's going to change. Well, TV and the internet are just merging. I think, and there's no question about it. But on the other hand, play devil's advocate here.
Of course.
Anybody can play basketball. Anybody can pick up a ball and bounce it. But that doesn't mean you're Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
Right.
So anybody can make a TV program and upload it, but how much of this is good? I mean, you've seen a lot of junk coming in, or what, you know?
Well, no, I mean, definitely. I mean, that's what I was saying at the very beginning, you know what I mean? It was, I mean, I'll even admit, I watched some of it and I was like, you know, wow, is this, you know? But honestly, to tell you the truth, in the 3 months we've been on air, it's been like night and day, and things are just going up and up. The amount of stuff that's coming in, you know, first of all, everything that comes in, you go on our website, and people actually can vote on what they want to go on the air. We have this green light section. So, I mean, viewers actually decide what goes on the air.
And is that for everything, or just some things, or they vote on everything?
That's for the viewer-contributed content,
Right,
which we called VC squared, and it's increasingly what the network is moving towards. I mean, the mission, the vision's always been to create a network for the audience, but really by the audience. And like you said, I mean, I liken it a lot to like the CIA. A lot of intelligence is always flowing in. Trying to decide like what's intelligence is worth looking at is a huge challenge, and so we do have like a big infrastructure, both in Los Angeles and San Francisco, that's really about harnessing all of that creativity coming in and trying to make sense of it and figure out like what should go on air. Like Johnny said, there's also this. One of the things I think we're most excited about is like the online platform, because again, it's very much regulated by the audience itself, and in order empowering them to say, well, what do we like, instead of having, again, executive producers deciding, oh yeah, the audience loves this. This is, well, the audience is telling you they like this, they want to see it.
New York or something. Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting too. You were mentioning San Francisco and Los Angeles. On a different note, that you used to have this polarization in California between Northern and Southern California. Sure. And in a way, now with the second internet revolution, you're kind of having Silicon Valley merge with Hollywood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that maybe there'll be a little bit of a melding there, that instead of that gap that we've always had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So.
Well, and I mean, I think you see it in companies, much different than current. Like Yahoo suddenly has entertainment,
Santa Monica.
Heavyweights, like, a presence in Santa Monica, but they also have, guys who have been, at the top of the food chain in the entertainment industry, all of a sudden are running Yahoo. So, just that integration is it's a industry-wide,
Well, I really think that Google, Yahoo, and AOL, and and hopefully your venture, other ventures as well, MSN and whatever, could very well replace ABC, NBC, and CBS over time. Or now, who knows? I mean, maybe there'll be mergers, or however it'll morph out. But something in that direction, I think is going to happen, because. So it's.
We'll see, yeah.
It's exciting.
We'll see. I mean, I think one of the missions has been to create an independent network, and right now media by and large is controlled by 5 huge conglomerates. Yep. And it's exciting to have a voice that says, we're not necessarily controlled by one of these ventures with their own priorities.
Yeah, and and to go back to your content thing, can the people make good television? Hey, you'd be very surprised. I'm a harsh TV guy because I don't watch much TV, but I mean, I pick things apart like a lot, and like some of the stuff that coming in, I mean, it's really good. I mean, it's like you'd be very, very surprised with some of the stuff that's coming in.
All right. Well, speaking of that, I believe we have a clip from one of your, I think this is a viewer-submitted segment. If we can take a look at that, I think from Hurricane Katrina.
They're recording? Yeah. Okay. The situation is basically this. They sent out a bulletin to anyone with a flat-bottom boat, which is pretty much anyone living down here, to meet at the mall parking lot at 4 a.m. to go on search and rescue down in New Orleans, because there are people still trapped in their houses. Telling a bunch of Cajun men that we need you and your boats is like telling a bunch of kids at a fat camp that you have an enormous pizza surplus you need to get rid of. It's the only way I can really describe the attitude of these people. They are ready to rock.
All right. Well, so did you get a lot of stuff about Katrina from the audience?
Yeah. I mean, because again, with Current, what we've done is created a platform. So anytime something happens in the world, we like to call it like citizen journalism. Mm-hmm. There's, as we all know, people with their cell phones, with their cameras. There's just a huge opportunity to just go out and record information. Stuff like that shows that, especially when it comes to news and information program, the audience is hungry for the raw, unfiltered, perspective. Yeah, it's not just about like, a nicely lit live shot and a steady camera and stuff. It's just about, what's going on.
Yeah, and I thought that was very well done, by the way. I thought that worked very well. And so if that was viewer submitted, if he wasn't one of your producers, then I think he did a very good job with that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the cell phones and stuff too, it's, these days you've got, on the network news, you'll see, somebody was out there with their well, unfortunately, even like in the Bali case, somebody was walking through with a video camera, and that stuff ends up on the national or international news now because somebody's there with their cell phone or their, you know, I don't know, iPod or something, I don't know, whatever, you know. Well, I don't know if it has camera on it yet, but you know.
It will be.
Yeah, well, they just added videos. So,
yeah. No, I mean, exactly. I mean, we're in, like you said, we're in the midst of technology revolution, so people are constantly, and I don't think, you know, our agenda is not to fall on either side. I mean, we call it almost like subjective journalism, which is, you know, things happen in the world and people react to them subjectively. And, you know, the old model of news has very much been like this objective one. And the reality is, I mean, people, especially amongst our generation, don't necessarily trust what they're watching on the news anymore, and that's why all the demographics show they're not watching.
There's not really a real element of it, you know, like the Louisiana piece you just saw. I mean, it's straight up from, you know, an average person like one of us, and that really gives it that real element that you don't see every day on news.
Okay, we'll pick that up in just a minute. We'll be right back with Johnny Bell and Gotham Chopra talking about current TV in just a minute.
Mrs. Abruzzo, I'm Ed McMahon, and we're signing up people for... Yes, I am. Yeah. Mr. Murphy, Ed McMahon. We're starting up... No.
Dreams really do come true.
Hombre, dinero.
No.
Con cámaras.
Yes, Ed
con
McMahon,
cámaras.
see.
Ed McMahon.
Yes, Ed McMahon. We're having our first
Ed
ever...
McMahon.
Yes. Tuesday night at the high school. We're starting up the neighborhood watch in this area, and here's all the information.
Stevie, get down here, please.
No, it's just
5, 6, 7, 8.
No tango dinero. Neighborhood watch. We're having this neighborhood watch, the first one. Right.
Larry, put some pants on.
I'll come back.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Help play a part in the safety of your community. To find out how you can start or join a neighborhood watch, log on to usaonwatch.org.
We are back with Johnny Bell and Gotham Chopra today talking about current TV and the media revolution. So you bring up a good point as far as objectivity in the news, and we were talking about quality a minute ago, but even then there's the objectivity issue. Having a bit of a journalist background myself, you know, where you studied the inverted pyramid and had editorial control and people reviewed your work. On the one hand, I think it's great anybody can get anything out there, but yet, well, you can knock the traditional media, and God knows people do, but yet, how do I know? You know, you've got all these blogs out there and stuff. People can put anything out there. Is that an improvement necessarily over the networks? I mean, on the one hand, you do get first-person accounts, and I think there's that benefit, but yet, how do you know how can you trust them any more than the network? How do you know that they're not just making it up? Or in most cases, or in some cases, they have blatant political biases anyway, which we always accuse the networks of anyway.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I mean, so far, in terms of a lot of the stuff we put on there, it's just been real accounts. I mean, I think if you're getting in terms of factual stuff, I haven't really seen too much stuff that delves into that.
Well, and I'm sorry, and I don't mean just in this case what you put on your network, but I just mean in general, when people are out there blogging and stuff.
I don't think we're, you know, especially from the network's point of view, not discouraging people from going to traditional news outlets or, you know, going to, be it newspapers or online, you know, news outlets that are considered fair and objective and all of that stuff, which you have to question a lot of that. But
if the reporter for USA Today or New York Times didn't make it up, you know.
But I do think what we're offering through the network is a different independent point of view, and the network certainly doesn't stand by and say, hey, everything that goes on air is factually accurate from an objective point of view. Always says it's real, it's unfiltered, and we encourage, you know, as opposed to traditional news networks, we encourage like our contributors and the people who work there to disclose, you know, their biases, so that it's on, you know, it's on the carpet and
left, right,
as opposed to, you know, kind of having this subtle, you know, and you watch a lot of the cable news networks, and we all kind of know where they fall on the political spectrum, even though they don't say so.
Yeah, and some of them, like Fox, are a little more blatant about it these days.
You said it, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, everybody does, yeah. But, well, when you mentioned the political angle, with Al Gore behind it, who, you know, was a candidate for president, people might wonder, is there a political agenda to this or an ideology behind the network, or how does that?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, it's open. They've been very, very good so far about wanting all sides of everything.
So it's not just Bush bashing 24 hours a day?
No, not at all. I mean, we're really adamant about everybody getting in the word. If you have a story to tell, if you have an opinion to tell, send it in. You know, the more sides you have, the better. You know, the more interesting it is.
And I would add that Al, you know, I've been lucky enough to be working on this venture for like since the beginning, and closely with Al, like one of the original people working along with him, and he's been an incredible inspiration. He's chairman of the company, he's actively involved, but when it comes to editorial, from day one, he's very much been hands-off, and this is not the Al Gore network, this is not the liberal alternative to Fox News. You know, this is about really creating a platform for people of all different backgrounds and all different viewpoints to come on and have an opportunity to share. And he's been sort of leading the charge and really set that agenda, which even on an ongoing basis, day to day, is really encouraging and inspiring for people like us who, you know, who still look at him, you know, as somewhat of a celebrity.
You voted for recently,
So, you know, it's exciting to kind of, and I think we've all had personal interactions with him, and you know, he's around, and he's very supportive of everything everyone's doing. So.
Okay, well, great. Well, I think that's a wise stance to take, actually, because I think if you do, one reason, well, I think there's a way to handle politics, even issues. Well, you know what I hate is, you know, a lot of these talk shows and stuff that do politics, it always ends up in a shouting match because you've got like, will you let me talk? Will you let me talk? And I think, what the hell kind of TV is that? Did you really discuss anything? You just have people, you know, like a power struggle between trying to get their point of view across.
It's drama. It's entertainment.
That's
what it is, man. You know what I mean? That's
True,
what it is.
love it.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of stuff are you getting in? You said the quality is getting better. Are there any particular themes? Is it just anything and everything, or what kind of stuff do you see coming in?
We have everything from like animation, and there's a segment called Super News, which is probably like one of my favorites, which is the guy who produces like, you know, it's kind of satirical. Some of it's news, some of it's entertainment related, but it's all kind of very irreverent, but at the same time very intelligent. So we have programming like that. We have a lot of programming, you know, from kind of areas like Katrina or other places where there's stuff, quote unquote, going on. There's
my favorite one. We have an ex-Navy SEAL went to Afghanistan, and he's kind of going around talking to the people out there about, you know, what their feelings of Americans are, and Osama bin Laden, and so on and so forth. And it's just cool to see it from his point of view. You know, not necessarily a journalist point of view. You know what I mean?
It would be.
You know, here we are, blah, blah, blah.
Since you mentioned that, I'd be curious to hear what he has to say, because I was on a plane recently, and there was someone from the military, I think coming back actually from Iraq, or had been home just recently. And one of the things I heard him say, I was tempted to invite him on the show, and it just didn't quite work out with the way we were getting off the plane and stuff. But I wanted to get that kind of an account, because one thing I heard him say was that he said, well, you know, about Iraq, you just hear all the bad stuff. And he said you don't hear the people smiling and coming up to you and thanking you. And anyway, so he seemed to have a different first-person account of what it was like over there. I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know.
Kaj, the guy who's over there that Johnny mentioned, I mean, we're getting dispatches from him. And as somebody, you know, I have a background also in that type of journalism, traveling to a lot of war zones, and it's true because...
In fact, you interviewed, some of bin Laden's foot soldiers?
Yeah, some of the kind of militants and, you know, from that part of the world. And again, traditionally, like news, you know, ratings come from explosions and violence and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So rarely do you...
Local news.
Yeah, exactly. So rarely do you get that point of view, which is, you know, the vast majority of people living in these places want peace. You know, they want to put food on the table for their families, et cetera. The same concerns, you know, all of us have, but
yeah, well, it was kind of reassuring to hear that, actually, and from you guys too, because I would like to believe that people are people the world over, and that, you know, that we're not just all at each other's throats and just politically divided. And
I think, like, you know, 1% of the population gets 99% of the attention. That's the reality. So
that's sad.
Well, so, you know, you have quite a background yourself with, you were on Channel 1 in the past, doing reporting for them, and that's where you interviewed Bush and some of the...
Yeah, Channel 1's a national news broadcast that's broadcast in schools actually all over the country, and so I was a reporter for them for about 5 years, and yeah, had a unique opportunity to interview everybody from George W. Bush to, you know, the Dalai Lama to, you know, narco traffickers in Colombia and militants in Afghanistan. So, you know, a really interesting background and opportunity to have at such a young age. So.
All right. Well, we'll be back in just a minute talking about the media revolution with Johnny Bell and Gotham Chopra from Current TV.
This is a story about the living reef, the oldest city on Earth. These wondrous, complex communities are the most diverse places on the planet and are so important that the ocean cannot exist without them. And we cannot exist without the oceans. Unfortunately, pollution and overfishing are destroying the world's coral reefs. We've already lost 25%, and the rest may perish within a generation, unless we act now. Protect the living reef, and we protect the ocean. Protect the ocean, and we protect ourselves.
We are back with the guys from Current TV today talking about the new media revolution. I was a little bit lazy on that one, you know, but
You're excused.
So you also, that you've been involved with the comic book industry in India, I believe.
Yeah, I've sort of have an entertainment background as well, and I've been a fan of comic books for many years. I had written one that was then produced into a movie.
Bulletproof Monk.
Bulletproof Monk, yeah. And now, now I'm involved in a venture where we're creating a lot of content out of a studio in India and bringing that to the world. So, you know, we're getting ready to...
So is this online content or video or movies?
So far, no, it'll be actual physical comic books. And we're in the midst of developing our first slate of comics to be released next year. So, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, you know, it's a part of the world that's really been known for its quantitative skills. Everybody knows India for its outsourcing, et cetera, but we really look to it.
IT and I think customer service are all in
exactly.
India these days.
But, you know, those of us who are sort of, I'm from there originally, you know, also know it for its qualitative skills. So it's exciting to really focus on
I like when the credit card company will say, like, how's everything in Los Angeles? And I think, look, I know you're like in Bombay or something, you know, I can
totally.
Me, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Okay, well, and Johnny, this is actually your first television position.
This is my first gig, yeah. This is my first gig. I knew somebody who told me to come out and
friend of a friend, it's the same
kind of one of those
business,
gigs, yeah. So yeah, it's my first gig, and I'm digging it so far.
And I would, you know, that's a perfect example of like what Current's been able to do, which is take people who don't necessarily have like the traditional entertainment or media background, but somebody who is obviously talented, you know, and is good on camera and all of that sort of stuff, and just, you know, really give them an opportunity to create programming. And, you know, you watch the network, you know, if you watch for half an hour, I guarantee you'll see Johnny.
See him on there somewhere, huh?
And so.
And you have, what, a degree in English, I believe?
I do, yeah.
And I heard that you worked on a banana farm in Central America
I did. Well, I worked on the farm, for like a week, and then we'd go and surf and travel for a couple weeks and then come back. So, and it was a friend of mine.
You said you were working on the banana farm, but you were out surfing, huh?
No. It was more work there for a while, and then bail and.
Is that what the Peace Corps was?
No, it was a friend of mine whose parents were affiliated with it, and it wasn't like you know, flies everywhere and stuff. It was it was pretty sanitary and whatnot.
But I noticed with that kind of a background, which again almost sounded like the Peace Corps, where you've gone around to those kind of things, if there's not a political ideology to this, there's at least, let's say, a social consciousness, or that seems to be very much a theme that, you know, and obviously aimed at younger people, I think 18 to 34 and all that. But is that true? I mean, it seems to be very, you know.
I mean, yeah, I think that's fair to say that when you look at, you know, just the people who are working there, they're mostly socially conscious, and you know, I think it's also very representative of the demographic that we're targeting for the programming. A lot of the people that work there sort of fall into our age group, and so, you know, to that degree, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, whether you can call that liberal or conservative, I don't know, but people are definitely socially conscious and also up to speed on what you call like the media revolution, or sort of part of it.
Okay, well, speaking of the media revolution, the technology side of it, how do I, let's say I want to upload something to your program, how do I go about doing this?
You go to our website and go to the studio section of our website, and it's pretty much all their ABCs how to do it.
Yeah,
so.
I mean everything from tips on how to create compelling programming, how to use a camera, and all of that, to finally taking through the whole process, how to upload it, get it onto our server.
Yeah, we actually have there's a tutorial site too on the website, and I know it's kind of like tutorial, huh? But for somebody like me too, I don't have camera experience, and I went to this tutorial site, and it'll actually tell you things that are common sense, but not if you don't have a film background.
Sure.
Actually how to go about making these things.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, there's a technical aspect to this.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And then even the things you don't necessarily think about, like how to get written approvals and stuff like that. Some of the legal things that you need to be up to speed on to make sure that you can actually put that stuff on television.
Yeah, I think of an incident I observed the other day where somebody showed up with a camera and basically kind of pulled a Michael Moore, I call it, where they started filming and the people actually asked them to stop or they'd be thrown out. So yeah, I went to a video blogging seminar at the Apple store in Santa Monica, and sorry Apple. It was an interesting occurrence. The guy sat down right next to me and pulled out the video camera, and Michael Moore on the guy giving the class, and the people at Apple were great, handled it very well, but they came over and said, would you mind not filming in our store?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just little things like that, that somebody like me wouldn't know too. I mean, you can go out and make the best piece in the world and get the best interviews, but if you don't have the piece of paper that's the consent, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done. So.
Well, this is great. I wish you guys luck with this new venture and hope that people are uploading a lot of content out there. But this is mostly short stuff, right? The shorter stuff from even seconds down to a couple of minutes or something. It's not like 3-hour documentaries or something.
Yeah, the whole model for the programming is what we call pod programming. So pieces do not, maximum is usually 5 to 7 minutes. So it's not the traditional 30 or 60-minute shows. But doesn't mean you can't film 60 minutes of great stuff and then figure out how to cut it into different pieces.
I just wonder how long that takes to upload.
It depends on, obviously the technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 3 weeks. Well, this is Johnny Bell and Gotham Chopra from Current TV today talking about the media revolution. Thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Free of everything, forever, however long it is, wiping my hands clean of it all, until I have to regain it by landing, be back in it again.